Testing, 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 testing. Looks clean. What about over here? Testing over here. Testing in the back. Testing in the front. Yeah, there is a difference between the front and the back. All right, I'm going to have to be more careful about speaking directly into this microphone. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another Hoopo stream. We're going to start off the week today with some programming. So I have a project that I've been kind of boilerplating. Let me mute some of these things here. So something that I've kind of been working on a little bit, and I kind of wanted to take it to the next level here, is TubeGPT. So this is an assistant I'm thinking about making for YouTube creation. So obviously running this YouTube channel, having these live streams, there's kind of like a bunch of little things that I need to do, right? Like generate thumbnails, generate descriptions. I track things in Notion. I use Midjourney and different kind of AI art tools to generate things. And I kind of want to make that flow more automated, right? So more automated description generation, automated hashtag generation. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to get rid of the kind of ArXiV copy pasting. So let's say, for example, I had this ArXiV paper, right? Reading ArXiV paper is something I do all the time on this channel, but I have to deal with these links. I usually end up copy pasting the title. I can screenshot specific figures. So all of that can be done via Python, right? And if we actually go up here, I have there's actually a Python package called ArXiV, and from a ArXiV URL, you can basically get all this information. I don't know exactly what information you can get. I think you can get the title. You might be able to get the abstract, maybe even figures. That would be ideal. But yeah, I basically want to get ArXiV information automatically via Python so that I can eventually automate the whole thing with ChatGPT. Or not ChatGPT, but the GPT API, which is really just a large language model. So I have this repo, and you can go ahead and use this repo as much as you want, MIT license. You are going to need a bunch of keys. So there's a bunch of different services that I'm going to be using here, everything from Discord, Notion, OpenAI, Replicate, Google API. So you're going to need to basically have all these keys, but the way that I set up this repo, all the different keys have try-catches on them, so you should be able to use the TubeGPT repo, and if you don't happen to have the key for a particular service, it won't error out. You'll still be able to use it. It'll just tell you, oh, not found this key. So yeah, for example, let me pull up a terminal here. And this is just your standard terminal. I created a Conda environment for this project. So Conda is a Python environment manager. It allows you to keep your Python dependencies separate for different projects. So I made a Conda environment that has all the requirements that you can find here in the requirements.txt. There's no version on these requirements. A lot of times in these requirements files, you'll pin specific versions of things so that, let's say, NumPy releases a new version, and then the new version of NumPy isn't backwards compatible, or you have some hard-coded stuff that like is very specific to the version of NumPy, then people will put specific version numbers. That's called pinning the version number. But I decided not to pin any of these, just so that anytime I go into a new computer and install and download all these dependencies, it'll download the latest versions, and it'll force me to refactor anything or fix any bugs that might arise from a new version of the stuff. So different way of doing development. Sometimes you want to do development so that it works every time and it's kind of static, and you pin all the versions, you put them in a Docker container, and you never touch it again. But I think it's better to not pin the version, and then every time you run it, you are always using the latest version of that package. And yes, it's going to result in certain situations where you start and you run it and it doesn't work because there's a new version of one of these dependencies and it prevents you from running something, but then it forces you to update your code. So it's a way of making sure that your repo and your code base is always up to date. And I think for something like this, which is using a bunch of different AI tools, and with the development speed of these AI tools that are constantly releasing new versions, I think it's important to kind of make sure that you're not pinning to some old versions. So, okay. The way you would basically use this is you would basically import TubeGPT, right? You see how I made a folder that's within this project, and then there's an init.py. What this tells Python that this is basically a module, right? So it thinks that TubeGPT is like a little package that you can import. So you can import TubeGPT, or you can import a specific one. So let's say TubeGPT.OpenAI, right? But for example, what if we say TubeGPT.Notion, or TubeGPT let's do one that I don't have the key for. So you see improper token. So if you try to import something that you don't have the token, it'll actually error out. I don't like this hard error. It should have not errored out like this, but Discord errors, login failure. So let's go over here into the discord.py, and this part right here. Yeah, this is the part that's not working. So eventually we'll need to put this in a function, but I'm not interested in doing the Discord right now. What I wanted to start with is ArXiV, because this is a very simple little API. So let's go ahead and test this. So if name equals, come on, GPT. So I do have, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. I have Copilot integrated in here, and you see that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for it to actually give me a thing. Actually, this is interesting. Copilot just gave me... This is fucking weird. So I just let Copilot auto-complete this, and it auto-completed, and it chose a very specific ArXiV paper. So I did not pick this ArXiV paper. Copilot picked this ArXiV paper, and it seems to be a quantum physics paper, which is very crazy. We investigate this presence of spin and planar squeezing and generalized superposition of atomic coherent states. So spin is a concept in quantum physics where basically there's a specific property to particles, which is called their spin, and the spin is very weird in that, like, you can this is how the concept of like quantum teleportation, or whatever they call it, like the quantum entanglement, where like you measure you have two particles that were together at some point, they interact in such a way that their spin is now locked, right? It's one spin is related to the other spin. You separate them, and then you measure the spin of this one, and instantly you know what the spin of this one is, right? So kind of a cool concept, but we're getting distracted here. So let's close out of that. And let's see. So we can run this. All right, so first thing it did is just failed out immediately. Okay, module ArXiV has no attribute search. I think it's because this paper, this file is also called ArXiV, which is a problem here. So let's make sure. Yeah, so this search definitely exists. So let's rename this to _ArXiV, or actually underscore is kind of a terrible name. Let's call it TubeArXiV. Okay, now let's run it. All right, it ran. We didn't really see anything, but let's do this. Let's put a breakpoint right there. So now we're in this breakpoint, and then we can inspect. So in VS Code, right, whenever you're doing this debugging, it shows you the state, so you can actually see what's going on here. And we're looking at the this paper variable here, right? So we can see that there's a bunch of different information here. We have a summary, we have a title, we have a primary category, we have, let's see. So I like the paper.title. I also like the author is not as important, I guess, but we'll leave it there. Summary, which is the abstract, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so it's the abstract. I'm looking, you see this is LaTeX. So LaTeX is like math writing. So if we actually go to the paper, we should see that they have math writing on there. Nope. Let's go to this one. Yeah, you see how there's math symbols in this abstract right here, phi and tilde. So that's not necessarily great, right? Because we're not going to be able to format that for a YouTube description, which is ultimately where I want this information to go. So what other information can we get from this paper? Title, the PDF URL, at least that's nicely formatted, paper.pdf URL. Raw, from feed, journal, categories. I kind of like the categories because I think we might be able to turn that into and also this is interesting, the authors isn't actually a, you have to go into it. It's a list of author objects. So it would be more like this. Authors equals author dot name for author in paper dot authors. And you can actually take this little list comprehension here, go into the debug console and put it in there. And there you go. Now you have the actual names in strings, or in string format. Let's see, paper.title. Let's see how good that one looks. That's just a good, nice, clean string. So we'll say that. Paper.summary. What do we got going on here? Yeah, this is the full abstract. Yeah, I don't like that it's not like super well formatted, but whatever. And let's look at this. Petit Boo is opening doors behind me. You guys might hear the fan in the bathroom going on there. Date time. This is a date time object. So let's convert this date time to string. So close out of this real quick. Dot strf, and I want the month, the day, and then the year. I don't want hours, minutes, seconds. So little tip there. You notice how when I wanted to do this, I basically put a comment above what I wanted, and that comment was then used by GitHub Copilot to write the actual thing that I wanted. So this is kind of how you need to do programming in the age of coding assistants, is basically you want to provide context around the lines of code that you want, and then it'll go from there. And I think this PDF URL is fine. So let's put a breakpoint here. And let's test this out again. I'm going to save. We're going to run it. All right, what do we got for title? We got optimal spin. Why don't we put typing hints here too? So this is a little bit of modern Python for you guys. You can basically have typing hints in Python like this, and that'll let people know exactly what's going on, or exactly the type that you want. What is published? Yep. So let's do that. And the URL, this is also string. Okay, which is what we want. We just basically want a bunch of strings. And you see here how it doesn't have the list type, so we can close that out. And we can import it up here. So we can say from typing import list. Okay. So let's close out of this, close out of that, save. We kind of want this information here inside a new function. So our get archive info is going to take a URL, which should be a string. Sorry. Then this is going to give us an archive result, but let's call this find paper. Then let's make a new function here. We're going to call this get or paper blurb, and I want this to take a archive result, and then I want it to return a string. Actually, I don't want it to return an archive result. I want this to be a URL, which is going to be a string, and I want it to return a string. Right? And here we're going to find the paper, find paper of URL. We're going to have paper. This is going to be a archive.result. If paper, and then we're going to put basically all of this up here. If match. Yeah, so I have here some like regex to match the URL, so you can hopefully pass it kind of more crappy URLs, but we'll see. We'll test it out with some URLs here afterwards. Okay. And let's write our blurb. Else return none. Okay. So the blurb that we're going to write for this is going to be like this. It's going to be the title. This is going to be an F string. What the fuck? By, put that in there. Actually, no, let's do this. Let's do... I think something wrong happened here. Let's cut. There we go. That's what I wanted. Got the title. Got the authors. Got the published date, and then I guess the URL. Is there a way to do a YouTube descriptions links? How to insert links in YouTube descriptions. Maybe we add like a little archive here. Something like that. So let's see what happens when we pass in our paper blurb. Print paper blurb of the URL. And we don't want a breakpoint, we just want it to print. Okay, so you see it didn't print anything because we didn't return anything. So we got to do this. We got to do return blurb. And then call this blurb here. Now let's run it. All right, so there you go. This is what our current little blurb looks like. I feel like we don't really need the names. Do we? I don't know if we want the names. Let's also try if we put a PDF in there. Let's close out of all these debugging terminals here. Incorrect ID for format. So you see this is matching group 0 here. And then this is matching group 1. And really what we want is the group 1. But we also want to add indifference to the other group. So let's go here. Let's open up our good old friend GPT and let's ask it, modify this regex such that it can ignore a .pdf at the end of an archive link. Then we'll send it that. It should add something right to the end here that basically makes it ignore that last part. Yeah, here you go. This little part right there is what we want. So let's put it here. Okay. Let's close out. Let's rerun. Incorrect ID format 4. See how it only removed the F. Yeah. So let's copy the entire thing here. Maybe there's a little earlier part to this that we missed. Or this could just be an incorrect regex. Yeah. Let's tell ChatGPT. This is incorrectly catching the .pd at the end. Here is the output. See if it modifies it. Negative look-ahead assertion. Yeah, this is what we want. Okay. Let's copy it. Let's paste it. Let's close out. Let's rerun. Let's take a big sip of yerba mate. Still not working. So you see how here it says %W? I feel like, are all archive papers numbers? Because we could also do this. I think we could do -D, and that should only do numbers. Yeah, you see, now it only does numbers, but I think we're getting caught here. See if we just tell GPT directly to do that. Let's see what regex it gives us. Let's also open a new one. Can you give me a regex to take only the numbers from this link? I want to get this, just this part here. Okay, so this is actually a simpler regex than we had before, right? This other regex had this like kind of like weird anti thing in the background, but it seems like we can just basically get rid of that, put that in there, and let's see what we get here. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay. Let's get rid of these authors. I just don't like that. And let's say published on released on, because not necessarily all archive papers are published. That is something also true. People put papers on archive without putting them in a scientific journal. I have done that. I have put papers on archive, like pre-releases, like things like that. You know, we don't want to necessarily gate. I also wonder if we should pull this out. Maybe not. I think that's fine. Okay. So let's go ahead and save this. Let's call it, or let's commit this code that we just wrote. We're going to call this ArXiV looking good. I want to commit. Okay, so that's the stream, guys. We completed it. We used the archive to get the information, but not actually, right? So what we really want to do is use our good old TubeGPT to automate, right? So how do we automate our YouTube task? And I think what we're missing here is a front end. And I asked my full stack friends what the best front end to use is, because I've used Grad.io before, but Grad.io always kind of seemed a little bit too beginnery, a little bit too kind of MVP. But after those discussions, unfortunately, it still seems like Grad.io is the way to go. So I think we're going to make a Grad.io app for this, right? So in our requirements, let's go ahead and add Grad.io here. We're going to pip install it, so exit here, pip install Grad.io. Okay, it installed it. You can see it also installed a couple different other things here. It actually installed pandas. It's kind of weird. It installed matplotlib, Hugging Face Hub. I guess Grad.io was acquired by Hugging Face, so it kind of makes sense that they auto-install that. And then we're also going to need an app.py. So whenever you have a Grad.io, you need to have an app.py. We're going to put that at the root directory because that's not going to be part of the TubeGPT Python module, in which case we would put it inside this folder. We want it to sit at the root level of the repository, right? And let's go into Hugging Face, and we'll go into spaces, right? Let's look at these spaces. So let's open one here. And what I'm looking for is I want like a nice template here. I just want, can I like search for spaces? Spaces. I think it's because it's not full screened. There we go. So let's look for most likes. Stable Diffusion 2.1, Dolly Mini, GPT Wolfram Alpha. Let's look at Stable Diffusion 2.1. So does this look like a nice interface? Do we want to copy this? Maybe not. What about this one? This one's aired out. Okay, that's not good. Let's go back. Let's see if we can find a more pretty one. Kind of like this one. Simple, single bar. Okay. What about this one? Ooh, this is the one that we saw before. I do like how intense this one is. It has different tabs. It has the record from microphone. It has a donate button. So I like this one. Let's go. Let's go into the files. They're going to have an app.py. Let's open it up. And let's see exactly how they do this. So load chain, set OpenAI API key. Run chain. This uses LangChain as a dependency. But really what I want is I want the Grad.io blocks here. See, it's using these like state objects. That's kind of interesting. And then it has, here you go, the actual Grad.io tabs. You have different .submit. Let's see how it compares to ours. So we made a Grad.io app on this channel not too long ago. We called it speech to speech. So let's see. I already forget exactly what this looked like, but let's go. Let's look at it. app.py. So what did I use? I had like a global state variable. I do remember that. I didn't like that design pattern. I did use the blocks though. Okay, so actually I'm going to copy this stuff here. So let's go into our app. We're going to put that in there. Let's go up to the top. We're going to have to import a bunch of different things in here. We're going to have to import grad.io as gr. And let's call this TubeGPT. Make a private copy of this space to paste your API keys. I forget what this entire thing looked like. Let's see what is the state object here? gr.state. So let's make our own little state variables here. See, num words, where else does this get used? Num words slider. Max words. So you have these separate tabs. I think we want the same kind of thing. We want like a tab-based design as well. So what are the different tabs that we're going to have here, right? We're going to have, well, definitely one tab is going to be the keys. So gr.tab, or actually, why don't we separate it out? Let's do this description. Right, it's like, do we want to separate out the tabs based on dependencies, or do we want to separate out the tabs based on task, right? So the tasks that I need to do are, I need to generate titles, I need to generate descriptions, and I need to generate thumbnails. But the dependencies are going to be OpenAI, Discord, things like that. So the question is, I think separating by task to be done, right, by job is actually the better way to do it, because if you're going to want to use OpenAI for all of them, right? You're going to want to use GPT for all of them, so you wouldn't want a separate GPT tab. So let's do tab keys. We're going to have a keys tab, and let's also have a gr tab thumbnail. So I think those are the three main parts, right? Let's see exactly how they do the keys here. So let's search here for OpenAI key, OpenAI API key, API key. So actually, you see that the way they do this is they actually are storing this, and then they have a function that they call when the user puts it in, which I think is actually probably what we want to do. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's compare the solution that we had. OpenAI API key text box, placeholder, paste your OpenAI key, hit enter, show label false, lines 1, type password. Okay. Actually, that's basically identical to what we had for our speech-to-speech, so let's leave it as that. Let's make sure to put this here. So we'll do inside the keys is where we'll have all of our keys. And let's see exactly what they do with this key text box. Use GPT-4 CB, change, set OpenAI key, inputs, outputs. Okay, how did we use it? OpenAI key text box, change is set OpenAI key. Okay, so we also had a set OpenAI key function. Where is that function? Play audio, continue, reset. Where is it? Set OpenAI key, which is here. And it's here. And let's go into the okay, so we're going to have functions in each of the dependencies to set the key for that dependency. So we go into source here, OpenAI lib. Here's the actual function that we had, set OpenAI key. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do keys, key text boxes. And we'll put this here. And then we're going to have to define this this set OpenAI key function. The question I'm thinking about is, do I want to put it inside the TubeGPT module, or do I want to put it at the root level here with the app? I feel like at the module level is the way to do it. Okay. Title and description. Let's put a pass here for now. And let's put a pass here for the thumbnail as well. I don't think we need any of this crap here. I don't think we need any of this crap. Maybe the model and the tokens and the temperature. I feel like these maybe. Yeah, let's put these here. So those will definitely be properties that we want for the text generation. I don't think we want any of this crap. We don't want any of this crap. We're just getting rid of some stuff, getting rid of some boilerplate. Created by GitHub. Let's actually give them the real GitHub link here for TubeGPT. So we're going to come here, we're going to replace this one with this, and we're going to call it TubeGPT. Okay, so we're just kind of copying this boilerplate here. And we can actually Control-Shift-I to auto-format. Why is this complaining? Line too long. I don't really care about that. Okay. Set OpenAI key. That's the one that we actually need to import. We don't care about any of these. buttons, add buttons, mics. No. We'll deal with that later. Okay. And let's just call a foo. Let's make a just generic empty function here that we'll call define foo, print foo. Okay. And let's comment out these here. And actually, we should just be able to run this. Let's see. Okay, now it's on this link. There you go. TubeGPT. Perfect. Is there anything else that we can copy from this one that we like? So if we go back to here. I like the duplicate being at the bottom. You know what? I'm going to kind of do that. Let's copy paste this part here and put this here. So hand editing HTML pages. Created by blah 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 -a GitHub GitHub, and then we'll make sure to triple there. Get rid of these triple quotes. Put this here. Put a breakpoint, and then this reference here, href. Okay, that's fine. All right, now let's close out. Let's rerun, and we can hopefully refresh. Yeah, and now this is at the bottom. You see how it's not centered though? We need a dash center. So let's take this and move this center down here. Come back, we need to close out of this, rerun it, and then refresh. There we go. All right. Why don't we put a little emoji here too? I kind of like the emojis, so let's... where's the emoji for TubeGPT? It's this TV. Let's copy this. Got to make sure to have your emojis, you know? We'll put it up here. Right? Fucking put emojis in HTML. Can I not put emojis in HTML? That sucks. I don't know if I can. I might not be able to. Yeah, I don't think I can. Yeah, you see, it just says TV. All right, whatever, that's fine. Okay, we were mostly interested in this keys, right? And we have our keys, and here you have your different API keys. So let's actually round this out and put the rest of the keys that we want here, right? So there's a bunch of different keys. Let's see. We're gonna need Discord, Google, replicate. Okay, so replicate, and all you have to do is just type replicate like that, and then just let Copilot do all of it for you. Discord API key text box and Notion. Let's do that. Notion API key. And I guess we also need the Google Look at that. It's even smart enough to know that we need a Notion database ID. All right, so if we save this and run it, and we refresh, go into the keys here. It's not updating, so what happened? I think this foo needs to have something here. Let's call it foo. Run it again, refresh, go into our keys. There you go. Here's all of our different keys that we would copy paste here. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and commit this. We'll just call it the boilerplate. We'll say grad.io boilerplate. Add everything and commit. Okay. So let's go back to the ArXiV stuff that we were looking at, right? And specifically, the OpenAI.py, GPT color, GPT image. We're actually going to have to call this Tube ArXiV or Tube OpenAI. Okay, and then we're going to take this like key logic that we have here, and we're going to wrap it inside a function here. So let's say define set key, and we get a key string, and first thing you do, if key is none, then try to open the local file. Except file not found. So if it can't find that file, that's fine. Right? Just warn us, but keep going. Then we actually want to set the key. So here you set this to the key. You set the environment variable. You set the, I guess you don't need that, like that. Okay. And if that fails, then all hell breaks loose, right? Reformat. Close. And here, where we actually do the app, let's do from TubeGPT import TubeGPT.OpenAI as Tube OpenAI. Nah. What do we want to do this? Like, I generally don't like very convoluted, like separately importing all these different modules. So I think the way to do this is probably to let's just import these separately. From TubeGPT.tube OpenAI import set key. Or actually maybe even better, import TubeGPT. And then like that. I just don't like this. I don't like this pattern. I don't like it. I'm going to come down here and we're going to say when you click that OpenAI key text box, when you change it, call this function tubegpt.tubeopenai.setKey. Can I actually put these up here? Like, I feel like this might be easier if I literally put it right here, and it seems like it's a better place for it. Let's see if this actually works. So I have no idea if that actually did anything. Never. So why don't we go into our TubeOpenAI and we actually have like a logger here. So we're importing the log from here. And let's say log.info OpenAI key set. And let's go back to our app and we'll rerun it and see if we actually get that OpenAI key set. Nope. Something wrong here. Oh, right here, trailing comma. Okay. We'll come here, refresh. Refresh. If we type something in here, what if we hit enter? I'm not seeing the info. So let's close out of that. I think it's because we don't have the logging set correctly. That would be my guess. We're setting the logging here. We probably don't even need these files anymore. This crap. Okay. Either way, this is basically fine. Let's not do the 11 Labs one. We'll comment it out. Let's do it for all of these though. Discord, Notion API, Notion database, Google API. And let's comment out all of these as well. So right now we're just dealing with OpenAI and our ArXiV. Okay, so let's think about what the workflow is going to look like for our title and description. So I have some links, specifically an archive link, and I'm like, okay, I want to do a live stream on this archive link. So I'm going to take, and I want to paste that that archive link somewhere. So we're going to need a kind of a text box. Let's say gr archive link. Paste the archive link in here. Okay. So now if we run this, we refresh. All right, so this is where you would paste the archive link. And when I paste it, eventually I'm going to want to copy paste the description out, right? So I'm going to need like an output text box, right? So how do I want the output text box to be? Do I want like the kind of chat style text box? Right, like do we want this? Chatbot? Is there like a grad.io for like grad.io choosing one of n options? Data frame, color picker, code, chatbot, button, gallery. That seems like kind of what I want. Yeah, this is actually perfect. Is there a gallery of text? Text gallery? GR gallery. Let's see if we can do that. Let's copy this GR gallery here. Ooh. We'll put it here. Because we're not just going to want to generate one description and one title. We're going to want to generate a couple titles and a couple descriptions, and then we want to basically pick one of those. So I like this gallery idea. But I don't know how to actually... It seems like you need column variant panel, GR row, compact, height auto, object fit. How do I like... Gallery dot deserialize as example, attach load event, get config, preprocess, render, output. What do I want here? Update? No, change is not what I want. Update. Maybe that. Let's see. Let's search the internet. grad.io gallery text. Display text in gallery. Okay, so this guy did something here. Yes, you can. You can now pass in a list of tuples and they'll show up in the gallery. Okay, I mean, that doesn't really help us. I want to know... button.click get images txt gallery. Okay, so we're going to need a button. So why don't we just go ahead and make a button. So we're going to make a gr generate button. This is going to be a gr.button. It's going to have the word generate on it. Let's not do on click. Maybe let's see what else it tells us. Okay. Okay, and let's go into the docs here. So we're going to want button.click, and then there's going to be a function, and then it's going to be none in gallery. So it requires no input, and then the output is gallery. Yeah, so actually here you go. The output is, so it's actually not like this, it's like this. And it's also button.click. And let's move this here. Or actually the gallery should be below the button. And on the click, we're going to do, I guess, generate descriptions. And we want to change none and then the button. So none and then the description gallery. So let's call this gr description gallery. We're not going to type the whole word description. We're just going to call it generate desk. And now we need to actually make this a function. So let's go ahead and say def generate desk print generate desk. Let's see exactly what they have input and output to this function. So their fake GAN takes no input and outputs return images, which is tuples? Is that what they were saying here? Get images, JPEG path, return images. Images is a list, and it's a list of a string and a URL. So maybe here let's do return a list, and here we're going to have foo and bar. I feel like this is going to error out, but let's actually see. So if I put something in here, well, first of all, I'm not even seeing the generate button. So already something's wrong here. Warning, the type parameter is deprecated. Use the number component instead. Okay, so actually it seems like this is no good anymore. And give us an error. Okay, so these need to be images. You see this? I think the way the gallery works, it really wants it to be images. So yeah. We're probably going to have to move the gallery to the thumbnails. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so let's put our thumbnails here. Generated images. We can take this and put it here. We'll leave that there. And then we're going to need a different abstraction here for our text. So, grad.io choice of texts. Okay, JSON, image, highlighted text. We were looking at gallery, but that seems to be specifically for images. What I really want is like almost like a table, you know? Like a table of text boxes. Highlighted text. I don't really care about that. What happens if I copy paste this? No. Because I want something where I can basically copy paste out the text. What about data frame? I feel like data frame might be the way to go, right? Because then we also have a data frame that we could export with all the different descriptions. So let me hit the bathroom real quick. I'll be back. All right. So I'm liking this data frame. So we're still going to have a generate button, but we're going to have a, not a gallery here. We're going to have a data frame. So let's get rid of this. And we're going to call it gr title gallery. The label is going to be generated titles, element ID, gallery, sure. There's going to be only one column, and the number of rows is going to be 5. And yeah, let's just call this why don't we just call it text instead of title and description, just because it's like such a long word, we're just going to call it GR-generate texts button. GR texts gallery, generated titles, height auto, and then when you click the GR generate text buttons, it should update that data frame. And let's see the example that they have for this. Data frame, try, examples, return records, tax calculator. See, these don't actually use the blocks, so these examples aren't necessarily good. Let's do data frame in blocks. Data frame in grad.io blocks. Using grad.io for tabular workflows. Yeah, it still feels like they don't want you to use this, so oh, I see why. This needs to be a gr.dataframe object. And we're also going to need to import pandas. Why is this import pandas as PD? Control copy. Come here. Generate texts. And we're going to return PD dot data frame of this. Kind of bogus data here, but it is 2 columns and 2 rows. So hopefully when we click that button, gr texts data frame, it should output into that. What does this click want? So it takes the data frame as input. Grad.io data frame, click. Refreshing components with new data frame values. That kind of seems like what I want. Okay, here we go. Someone using GR blocks and who has a data frame. So you see they have a GR data frame. Okay, and you have .click, and then you have fn inputs and outputs. So we need fn, then inputs, and then outputs. Okay, And where does he actually put the papers? Maybe the outputs, you just put this directly like this. And then the inputs is just none, like that. And then the function is generate texts, like that. Let's see if this works. Let's comment this out here. None type object has no attribute of ID. gr generate text buttons dot click. gr generate text buttons. What the fuck does that mean? Let's get rid of this. Let's rerun it again. Get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's put that there. Let's make sure this and this are the same. Okay, yeah, they are. Why is this not liking it? None type has no attribute ID. So it looks like the button is just straight up fucking broken here. Let's see. Button, try examples. Blocks. gr.button. And then button.click. gr.button. I guess we don't need the type button. And we can do this. Still getting that. Oh, I think this might be fucking borked, this gr.dataframe. Okay, let's actually see if this works. No, they're still getting that issue. What's going on here? Okay, so you set the button to gr.button and then you just say button.click. gr generate text buttons, gr generate text buttons.click. Why does it not like that? we're going to give it the data frame, and then the input, we're actually going to give it maybe like a little fake thing here, just so it doesn't error out. Let's see. All right. Let's do this. We're going to copy that, and we're going to paste it in Google because we don't know what the fuck that means. grad.io. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, so the error here is that this is a string here, right? You can't, the inputs need to be something. So we can actually say here, get the link, put it here, right? And now if we run this, yeah, now it works. Okay. So all the inputs and the outputs to a button need to be grad.io objects is basically what I think is going on here. So let's close out of some of these. Let's refresh. We have our ArXiV link here, and if we hit run, there you go. All right. Doing some good stuff here. Let's get rid of this password here because we don't need it to be like aired out like that. Let's see. All right, we kind of want, what do we want? Do we want one row for each generated description? I think that's what we want. I think we want one row for each generated description where the row is the full description. But we also kind of want a way to select. So like, let's say we're looking, we have like 4 options. We want to like be able to click on one. How do I know which one I'm clicking on? Is there a way to do that? grad.io, which row or which row I am clicking on in data frame. Do I have that level? Data frame, data output, data frame improvements. Oh no, this might be more trouble than it's worth. Maybe it's just like that. Okay, so well, first things first, we need to, at some point when you paste the ArXiV link, right, there should be something in the text box that changes once you paste something new. So we're going to have something similar to this, where when you change the ArXiV text box, so gr ArXiV link text box, and when you change that, it should call TubeGPT, Tube OpenAI, Tube ArXiV. Right, let's import that as well. Import TubeGPT, Tube ArXiV. And it should call the function that we wrote at the very beginning of the stream. It should call paper blurb. So let's go to app.py. We're going to need to put that in there. And it takes in the value of gr archive link text box, right? And the output we're going to need to basically have a placeholder string that holds it. So how do we want to store that? What is the purpose of these gr states? Like, should we be storing all of our variables in here? Should this just be like default variables? Deep copied, if a callable is provided, the function will be called whenever the app loads to set the initial value of the state. So I feel like we could actually put the other things in here. So in our scripts examples, so this is where we were at before, and we have like this, for example, this here, the socials. So this will be the same for every single video. Right, so we can copy that and we can say texts socials equals gr.state of socials. Ooh. Where the value is socials. Then let's have texts, we'll call it info, and we'll say gr.state, and the value equals, for now, just empty. And when we change the get archive link text box, we want it to run paper blurb, and we want it to output into this text's info, right? And the inputs to the generate text button should be the text's info, the text's socials, and the text socials. So when we go into our generate texts, we're going to get text info and text socials. And let's return a data frame that only has one column, and inside that column is going to be an F string that is basically that. So if we run this, we should get, all right, if we hit refresh here, so if we copy this and we paste this archive link in here and we hit enter, all right, so now it should have updated the value of the text, this text info, but when I hit run, it should also, there you go, there's the actual, yeah, I don't like how it's like all one thing though. I want this to be multi-line. Right? How to data frame print with multi-line call or rows. Okay, so you see they convert it to HTML and then they display it. That seems a little bit heavy. But you know, maybe let's do this. Let's do gr texts output equals gr text box and text box, and let's comment that out, and then let's do that. So now instead of a data frame, it's going to be a text box, and I feel like that will be more pretty when we format it. So if we format, here we paste our archive link. Wow, that looks terrible. Oh, it's because it's a tuple. Okay, here we go. Do this. All right, you see that? That's pretty good. And now we can basically just copy this and put it into, I don't like how there's multiple enters here. Let's go close out of this, go into generate full. Don't need that. Into tube archive here, I think there's an extra new line. Maybe not. Maybe the extra new line is coming up here in our app. Yeah, right here. We don't need these. We don't need that. Let's also make this a little bit nicer. Let's put little like ASCII stuff here. Okay. Let's close. Let's rerun it. Let's rerun this. Paste the archive link, hit run. There we go. That's looking pretty good. Okay, we're just missing a couple more things. We're missing the hashtags underneath here. And then we're missing the description at the top here. And then we're missing the title. So if we go back to our workflow, right? And in our workflow, we find an archive paper and we say, okay, we're trying to, this seems like a good topic for a YouTube video. And then we basically paste the YouTube link here. We're going to want to generate a bunch of titles, and we're going to want to generate a bunch of hashtags. And then we're going to want to choose from that list of hashtags that are generated and from that list of titles that are generated. So do we want to generate a unique title every time, and then we basically hope that the title sometimes matches the hashtags? Another thing we can do here is we can have a GitHub links. So if you put a GitHub link, then it would also format it like this. Okay, so let's have new stuff here. So we're gonna have a texts hashtags. We're gonna have a text title. Let's organize these. So the title comes before the info, which comes before the socials, which comes before the TubeGPT. So this is the text descriptions texts, which is title, descriptions, etc. Okay. I really don't like this fucking HTML. It just looks so gross. So gross. You know, they tell you not to format, but I can't help but format. Yeah, actually, that's fine. We'll leave it there. Okay. And now we need to go to our Tube OpenAI because we have specific functions for generating titles and text. GPT text. Set key. Okay, so in generate full, I think we had stuff for that. Title. You create titles for YouTube videos. Respond with the title that best fits the description provided by the user. Respond with the title only. No extra text or explanation. Come here. Ooh. And in our good old generate texts, we also need to generate text title. And we're going to need to open or import that directly from here. the prompt is going to be the text's info. See, previously we were doing this kind of like more complicated thing here where we're giving it a couple different examples of titles and hashtags, and then it's able to generate titles and hashtags. So we gave it examples of videos that we've made, and then it generates new ones from that. But the problem with that is that it makes it very expensive, because then it basically, every single time you send to GPT, you're sending like a bunch of context that you don't necessarily need. Ayo, what are we cooking today? We're cooking a little AI app that generates YouTube descriptions and titles and stuff like that. So you can check it out here, TubeGPT, but just getting started. So right now it just generates, it goes and it finds information on archive papers and then generates a title for it. But I'm reusing a bunch of this code that we wrote for the generating YouTube thumbnails video. But I'm trying to make sure that it actually doesn't call the OpenAI API like 50 times, which was the problem with it, where it just like it used up so many tokens. It's more like an automation machine. So I'd rather, like right now, every time I make a YouTube video, I have to basically like copy paste different things into this description. And I'd like to get to the point where I can just wake up, I can paste the link of the archive paper, and then it can just generate to me all these little blurbs, and I can just copy paste those into the description. It generates the title, it generates the hashtags, and so on. So that's kind of the hope. Okay, so pass in a prompt. And then let's also do the create hashtags. Yeah, just a little helper. We'll make it better and better over time. You know, I feel like eventually I want to get to the point where it does all of it, you know, like the thumbnail as well. But generate texts, hashtags, prompt. So this is the system prompt that I'm telling GPT, right? And then we're going to close out of that. You create hashtags, generate, respond with the hashtags only, prompt. Okay, so now we can do generate text title and generate text's hashtag. You have the texts. And then let's do this. Let's do gr with gr dot row, I think. Yeah, row. So we're gonna put a new button, right? Actually, there you go, perfectly. Perfect. Gr text title text box, gr text title button, gr text title button click. You runs the gr text title with the text title. That's not actually what we want. We want the input should be text's info, And the outputs should be gr text title. And this should be text title. Let's see if that works. Okay, refresh. All right, so we have our archive link. Let's copy and paste our archive link. Let's hit run. Incorrect API key. Okay. But is it at least doing something correct here? Text's title. So let me real quick pull up a new OpenAI API key. I'll do it here on the side so you guys can't read it. OpenAI API keys. Give me that OpenAI API key. Create, let me delete these keys actually if I'm not going to be using them. Revoke key. Revoke key. Cancel. Create new key. We're going to call it TubeGPT. We're going to copy that. We're going to put it here. Oh. Okay. And then we're going to delete this one. Okay, so now let's run this again. Let's paste the archive link in here. Still not the right API key. Okay, something's going on. So let's put this here, just so we don't have to keep copy pasting it every time. And let's see exactly what's going on here. Like, why is this erroring out? Incorrect API key provided. I feel like that's Garbo. This is a correct API key. So whatever, I'll let you guys see this, but I will change this, so don't steal it. What if I run this? Then I paste it in here. Okay. Then I go to texts. I hit run. Okay, I don't exactly know if it did anything, but I want it to output to text's title text box actually, and actually let me get rid of this text title and hashtags here. So I don't really want that. Okay. So now if I close this, run this again, refresh, error. Yeah, so you see something's going on with our keys. So unless we paste the key, let's do this, value equals none. So I think the problem here is that the key never gets set unless you try to run this, right? So that's the problem, is that you need to go into the app, run it, refresh, go into the keys, not paste anything, yeah, okay. Ugh. We need to basically get the keys beforehand. So over here, we need to set the key. Now let's run it. Set key missing one positional required argument. This needs to be none. These GPT titles suck. Okay, so one thing I'm noticing here is that the button just says run. So I don't want that. I want a button that actually says something a little bit more descriptive. So here, the button, it's not generate. Like, what is it actually called? Send. So let's see. Grad.io button. Grad.io docs button. Default text for the button to display. It's called value. So here, this should be value. Make title. And then let's do a similar thing here. Let's say with gr.row. Hashtags, make hashtags. And then here we'll do a combine final output. Why is this not making me good titles? This should actually be final output. copy paste into YouTube, and here the value equals combine. And I think here we want a with gr.label. Can I make a row that has a section here? Can I call this hashtags? What happens if I do that? Row takes one positional argument, but two are given. Yeah, it doesn't like that. Let's run it. Let's go here. Let's refresh. Let's make a title for this. What are some hashtags for a video about healthy meal prep ideas? Okay, so this is just straight up garbo. The description, it's not getting the description. So here, when we generate text hashtags prompt should be when you change this, it sets the paper blurb, and then it sets the value of text info. Respond with a short title that best fits the description. So you see here, this prompt is just empty. So I think what happens is that when you save, kill, rerun it, refresh, paste that in there. Once you paste that in there, then you hit make title. These are dog shit. How to make a DIY face mask? What are some hashtags for a video about healthy meal prep? Let's see. Let's see if we can be a little bit more nuanced here. Let's do a little bit of prompt engineering. Okay, so first thing I'm noticing here is it's not even combining them here. So something is wrong when it comes to the actual text's info. So when you change this, it puts it into text's info. And the output is gr text box. And it calls generate texts. Generate text should give you text info and then text socials. So we put that in there. And then we hit combine. All right, now you finally have this. And now if we make title, there we go. Alrighty, that's pretty good. Ugh. All right. And you can basically keep hitting this, make titles, make hashtags. All right, so we got a pretty good little workflow here, right? You can basically, you paste in the PDF or the archive link, then you keep clicking make title until you get a title that you like. You keep clicking make hashtags until you get a hashtag that you like, and then you hit the combine button and it'll give you the full thing and you can just paste it. Okay. So first things first, I think this button here, the combine button, should be higher up. We should put this button above the text box. I kind of like the button on the side here, so the button should be on this side. Combine, copy paste, and here the copy paste into YouTube should get the text info, the text socials, but it should also get the GR texts title text box and the GR text hashtag text box, and those should go in there as well. Save. And these four, we should make sure that our thing here there you go. We don't actually need the underscore text here. I think we can just call it info, socials, title, and hashtags. And the way this is going to work is it's going to be title, info, socials, hashtags. I don't think we need these extra spaces here. Let's run it. Let's refresh. Copy, we paste in the name of our thing. We make the title. We make the hashtags. Let's make new hashtags. And then let's combine. And there you go. I kind of want an extra new line in between the socials here. So let's actually do it like this. I also want like kind of like a in this paper we blank format. In this stream, we review the paper do we really need it? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe we don't need that at all, so let's undo that. I think we kind of have the main part of it. I think that's pretty good for now. Where are we at? We're at almost 3 hours. Holy shit. Let's commit this. Say text generation. Looking good. And let's close out these things. Okay, so the next thing we would want to create maybe we want like a little thing here. Like a little drop down menu or a little hidden, whatever it's called, the accordion, I think that's what they call it. GPT params. And here is where we'll put our little slider and our temperature and so on. Let's call this GPT hyperparams or params. Not state. We'll do max tokens. Let's do GPT max tokens, GPT temperature, and a GPT model. And here, the drop down is going to be this. GR model is going to be GPT model. GPT temperature. And we also need GPT max tokens. And then here, the generate text titles. GR max tokens dot change. Come on, Copilot. What should this be? Make it nice formatted. And here, when you generate the text titles, let's pass in those three things. So let's pass in GR max tokens, GR temperature, and GR model. And here on the hashtags, let's also pass in those three things. And let's pass them in here. Max tokens temperature model, and then let's make sure whenever you go here, it's model temperatures and max tokens. Let's copy paste that. Come here, and this should be temperature equals temperature, max tokens, and model. Let's go ahead and copy that into this one as well. And go ahead and copy these args. These are args, not quargs. Quargs are keyword arguments, right? Whenever you have something that has a little keyword like this is a quarg. But whenever it's just like this, it's called an arg. Okay, let's run that. Let's come here, let's refresh. We now have our GPT params. Let's actually turn it so that by default it's like hidden. Default open equals false. Okay. Okay, so default open didn't do anything, but so use GPT 3.5 Turbo, max tokens of 24, temperature of 0.8. Let's actually try GPT-4. Make title. Make hashtags. And there you go. Perfect. Look at that. We never have to type this in and copy paste it anymore. All right. Perfect. Let's save this. Let's kill this. And let's go have some motherfucking breakfast. Tomorrow we will be back. I'll probably just keep working on this, to be honest. But if there's any papers that you guys are interested in or anything like that, just hop on the Discord, post the papers, and I will go ahead and review them. Papers, GitHub repos, AI tools, anything you guys want, I will review. All right. Generate texts working. So yeah, cool. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.